cows are waiting on me every morning. Come on. Self-sustainability in a time of war and uncertainty. Morning, folks. My name's Dan with the Rose Family Homestead. This is a topic I want to discuss today, so let's go feed some animals and hit some talking points. Okay, folks, I think the time has come where more people are wanting to become more responsible for their own well-being, whether it's growing their own food, providing their own protection. Look for a video from me a little later on that, or just providing any other necessity that they may need. Your skills of growing your own food and learning to preserve it are going to be extremely valuable. All right, so when I end up in a discussion on this topic with anyone, one of the questions that I usually end up asking is, how long could you go? If we had a significant event happen that food was no longer available on the shelves, emergency services were not to be found, how long do you think your family could realistically make it before you had to leave your home and put yourself at risk? Could you make it a week, 2 weeks, a month, 6 months? How long do you think you could hold up? Okay, folks, so through COVID, we got to see how quickly store shelves went bare. Our system is very fragile. Heaven forbid something happened and we end up having a nuclear attack on our soil, our financial system ends up tumbling, or we have another pandemic where infection is, your chances of survival is basically a coin toss. We saw how crazy everything got with the death rates from COVID-19. I say, imagine if we had something where the infection had a far worse mortality rate. Now, I'm in no way trying to make light of COVID-19. We've all lost somebody that we know or love. But just imagine if it was worse. If we ever happen to get plunged into a situation without rule of law, you are the first one responsible for your own well-being. So a lot of you might feel overwhelmed and kind of trying to figure out, where do I start with this? And planting a garden is a great place to start. Back at the time of war, they were called victory gardens, and they were very crucial, to the food supply at the time. However, I want to talk more about lining you up a protein source. And one of the simplest things to do is to raise these guys. Look, they're in there sitting on our protein right now. These guys are laying eggs. You can use them as a meat source. And they are a great beginner livestock that anyone can raise. Not happy. So I thought this was a really neat ad from World War I that's now circulating around the internet. It reads, Uncle Sam expects you to keep hens and raise chickens. 2 hens in the backyard for each person in the house will keep a family in fresh eggs. Even the smallest backyard has room for a flock large enough to supply the house with eggs. It goes on and closes with, in time of peace, a profitable recreation. In time of war, a patriotic duty. And look, starting off with chicks is relatively simple. Just go to a local hatchery to purchase them, or even your own Tractor Supply. As far as setting them up whenever they're young, your brooder doesn't have to be anything fancy. This is just a simple old wash tub. I've seen people do them in plastic bins with a heat lamp suspended from the ceiling. They've got some pine shavings in there you can pick up, again, at your local Tractor Supply with a cheap feeder and water. Now, these are baby ducklings. My daughter surprised us with 5 ducklings yesterday when she was out with a friend. Don't let your daughter go shopping on her own without her, adults. But and ducks are a lot messier than young chickens. They like to try to get in their water, and it's hard to keep their bedding dry. But anyway, we have a better setup I got to put in here yet. But we just got them in here yesterday, and I said there's nothing to it. They'll spend a couple weeks in here, and then they'll graduate slowly into going outdoors. Feeding them is rather simple. If you follow us, you know that we're into the whole non-GMO thing. But this 50-pound bag will easily last these ducks for several weeks until they're ready to go outside. When they're young, they're eating very, very minimal. So you won't have a whole lot of feed costs into brooding them. Or heck, if you want to just skip the whole brooding step, hop on Craigslist and buy you some of these noisy mouthpieces. Come on, tell us your story. Now you just got to watch the age of them whenever you're buying them on Craigslist. You want to make sure that they're young chickens getting ready to get into laying. A lot of times people will sell their older hens on there that's starting to slow down their egg production. So just watch out for their age. You buy a chicken that's a year, 2 years old, you're fine. As far as a coop goes, this is a coop we purchased from Tractor Supply, and then we built an addition on it. So it originally was only this wide up to that left side there. And then we built this addition here on to just get us some added room. So I knew I was going to have several chickens. But, and this is a run that I'd put together my first year. However, now I just let them free range. They have, the rule of the roost, they say. But as far as your coop goes, same deal. It doesn't mean crazy. I've seen people take and turn old sheds into chicken coops. You could probably even turn an old dog house into a chicken coop. Like I say, just make sure that you keep predators away from them. If you got to have fencing in your area, make sure you don't have anything getting into them. Raccoons is the one predator that I have here that I have to deal with. But other than that, like I say, they're pretty straightforward. And then if you have a spot within your run where the chickens commonly manure, you can shovel that out and compost it, use that for your garden, feed yourself, and then give the scraps back to the chickens. They're in here scratching where the sheep were penned up. So if you have any amount of land, even a small yard, you should really consider this food security source. Like I say, I think it would be a great addition to your plan. And so even if you have an area where, I don't know, say you're not allowed to have chickens, maybe if you even just started putting the pieces together for potentially getting them in the future. If anything would ever start falling apart, it would be nice if you were ready to then be able to go get them. I don't think the people in your homeowners association are really going to care that you have chickens in your yard at a time, without rule of law. In fact, they're probably going to appreciate that somebody in the neighborhood is producing eggs. Okay, one last statement I want to make is support your local farmers. If things ever really start going downhill, they're going to be the ones providing the extra food in your community. We're not going to be importing beef from Australia and food from all around the world. All that stuff is going to kind of go away. So the guys in your community, the men and women that are producing agricultural products, they're going to be the ones propping up your area. So support them now, get to know them, and like I say, you should be spending your money there anyway. The food's healthier and better for you, and like I say, they're going to be the ones there whenever it really matters. Okay, last thing, folks, if you guys like this video, you got anything out of it, do me a solid, hit that like button, consider subscribing to us. If you like these kind of concept topic videos, one coming down the pipe is I want to get into people's responsibility for their own self-protection. So that one, look for that in the near future.